All right, Tony. So I hear AI might be able to take over our jobs here. So do you think we'll be able to get out on the golf course more?
Absolutely. I just hit the play button, and I get to go play for 4 hours really quick. Get a quick round in.
Heck yeah.
Come back and my work's done.
That sounds wonderful to me.
Can we do that?
Do you think it can help my golf swing?
No.
Yeah, probably
We're
not.
done there.
All right, hey guys, welcome to this week's episode. Tony, how we doing today?
Doing all right, man.
Yeah.
Keeping it real out here in the streets.
Yeah, very exciting topic this week. It's very, it's a little bit concerning because we did ask AI what topic to talk about.
They're like,
and
me.
They said AI and investing. But I said, you know what? That does sound like a good topic and timely, obviously. So yeah, we'll get into, and people, whether it's at, client events or, meeting one-on-one. This is a very common topic to bring up. So yeah, we thought it was an excellent topic for the show.
Yeah. So talking about how AI and how it is going to start affecting both our investment strategies and also our banking.
Yep.
Right. So AI's big boom. The last maybe 2-ish years, I would say. It's become Main Street popular. And, AI is going to be looking at trading algorithms. That's kind of what AI is, a big algorithm. It's just more complex than probably the C programming that I got in engineering school. It's going to help identify market trends and eventually maybe personalize your financial advice. And it's funny, I was talking to a room of high, people that own, businesses like ours, who's a lot bigger, right? And they're like, hey, AI, kind of concluded, maybe in the next decade. It's not going to happen next year. It's not going to happen in 3 years, but maybe in the next decade, maybe AI does replace financial advisors. But there's just so much that the human brain can, I guess, digest.
Yep.
But because sometimes
process.
Making a decision isn't always about making the most money, as weird as that sounds. It could just be an emotional decision, right? I just don't want to invest in that. I just do not like XYZ person or XYZ company, So that's the biggest thing here is that AI in the investment management side. So yeah, can it make a diversified investment portfolio? Sure. I mean, that's been written in stone since 1,000 years ago. Make sure you got your stocks, make sure you got your bonds, it's, classic modern portfolio theory.
Exactly.
That's easy, right? So we're not going to talk about that. But can it identify undervalued assets and predict market volatility? Come on, man. Let's just think about when the market went haywire about 2-3 weeks ago because of the tariffs. The market, everything that was being said, priced in about an 8% decline in the market. Trump comes out and throws up his tariff board, and the market dumped off another 8 to 10%. You're telling me a robot was going to predict what was going to come out of that dude's mouth? No way, dude. No way. So this AI-driven system, it's going to help mitigate losses by identifying response to emerging threats. So here's where I get lost is, time in the market's better than timing in the market. What is this thing going to do? Is it going to be buy and hold? Is it going to be strategically getting rid of a stock ahead of maybe an earnings call? Know what your limitations are. Hey, I'm up 30%. Human behavioral finance would say, hey, I just got into stock. It's up 30% in the first 2 weeks I'm in it. Can't wait to take this thing to the moon and it'd be up 300%. I know my guys, our investment team would do something where it's well, we really weren't expecting 30% in 2 weeks. We are going to now either chop the position in half, take the profits, or just get out of it in general. It's outperform what we did, and we did it in 2 weeks.
Right.
We're done here. Would your computer program know to do that? How do you dial this thing in to make a decision like that?
Yep.
That's my question. And does it when is it going to know what you're comfortable paying in taxes? What do you have a non-qualified account? And it's like, hey, we don't like this stock. You've been in it for 5 years. It's up 5,000%. Yeah, we're just going to sell that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't yell at the robot. Yeah. What are you going to do? You can call and yell at me. Oh, Derek, I'm going to come
in
and
a response to the robot.
Yeah, bad robot, right? Me and you, we get lashed,
yeah.
right?
We got phone calls.
That's why I make phone calls before I pull up somebody's tax account, right?
Yep.
What about this? All right. Maybe you're going to have a computer versus a robot thing where it's like, all right, all the robots are going to go in this direction because that is the way things are flowing.
Mm-hmm.
News flows, fundamentals, macros, technicals, and then you just have a bunch of humans saying, I'm going to short what the robots are going to do.
Exactly.
Or vice versa, or just go super long, right?
Yep.
There could be this beat the robot mentality, right? And then, Derek, when you and I taught these the educational classes, we talked about hey, if you want to do investing on your own, you can go get a value line report. So that's just like Morningstar, but it's for stocks,
right?
And you can they'll basically take the 500-page SEC annual print of a company and put it on a sheet of paper for you. Mm-hmm. Where it's and then we'd always say, I'm like, that's great if you want to get general knowledge of a stock, right? But you're not Warren Buffett. You're not going to pop in your private jet. You're not going to go walk into the building, see the infrastructure. Hey, did this place need to be updated? Is it out? Does it need tech updates? Is it falling? Is it crumbling? Mm-hmm. Right? Or what if you just get bad data, just like Enron?
Yeah.
Again, there needs to be. I always feel like there's always going to be a spot for humans to outthink and out emotionalize a robot.
Yep, for sure. So yeah, that's all excellent. Setup and points there. I've obviously been thinking about this a lot. Personal job security does does come into play here as well. I think we're probably okay for a while though, because of a lot of things that you just said. But what I will say, I think what AI can bring is speed, and I think that's where the ethical and the regulation issues come in,
right?
Because it's a lot of this is still reaction based, right? Like a robot a robot can come up with some possible outcomes. But if, Tesla is on its earning call and they say, hey, we blew out our number, a robot's not going to know that they blew out their number beforehand, right?
Right.
And then once that is reported, everyone's going to rush to buy, right? So, this was a topic of conversation, about 5-6 years back when they were talking about front running trades.
Yeah.
You remember that with the data centers, and they would get a split second ahead of these trades and make a couple extra pennies. And when you compound that over large numbers, it becomes a significant amount. So yeah, I don't know how. I don't know exactly how different these new the AI algorithms are going to be from just the old school algorithms that people have been using for years and years and years. We had a black box strategy a long time ago. That kind of pulled chips off the table if things were not looking good, and put some more chips back on the table when volatility was lower. Those things.
One day of volatility does not spark 3 months.
Exactly.
It can change very quickly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. We had a black box type of algorithm, and it got whipsawed. By the time it figured out, oh man, the trend's bad, the trend reversed.
Exactly.
Very quickly. And that's even worse today, because everyone's so on their phone and really dialed into alerts and all that stuff, man.
Yep.
And then again, I like thinking about this weird stuff. I'm like, all right, we have this robot algorithm. Who's in charge of it? What if they decide? What if somebody else or the creator decides to hack it?
Right.
They could swing a market and wipe everybody out. And one person's got all the money, literally all the money in the world, and wiped everyone out because they designed a market flow to swing so hard in one direction, and they were on that side of the direction.
Yep.
Seriously, though. Like right now, it's like, I don't know what the hell you're going to do. Are you going to buy Tesla?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe. And like you run the other way. I
Right.
don't know. Like, so is he scared or is he going to buy it? I just can't
Exactly.
tell. That's a human thing, right? I can look you in the face. I can't
Right.
tell. These robots can just be like, hey, man, if you, within seconds, figure out something. That's a scary part for me, to be honest.
Definitely. The speed is definitely going to become an issue. And then when the algorithms are trading, on this stuff, on their own, that also becomes difficult to regulate, and can also be, like Tony said, that word whipsawed, that is a real thing, no matter if you're doing it on your own, if a robot's doing it for you, you have to, just making a bunch of split-second decisions, throughout the day, every single day, isn't really the type of strategy or trading a lot of our clients are looking for. Kind of a more slow and steady wins the race type of thing.
Yeah.
I
mean, if it like it made the trade and you didn't like it, and you're like, hey, AI accountability, like, why did you do that?
Right.
I mean, maybe it will spell like, here's 5 reasons why we did that, and you're like, these reasons are stupid. Like, what were you thinking?
Exactly.
It could be, right? So, but the future, and I think he kind of nailed on the head right now. So if we just take like the short view, right, the short term view, the future of AI right now is, in banks, speeding things up, application processes, customer service, loan approvals. I mean, it's almost instantaneous now.
Yep.
Right? Or within a day or something, just have somebody spot check it.
Fraud detection is a big one that I think could be helped out too on that list.
Yeah.
It's like that's a perfect application for AI, because they can quickly process the data and identify things that don't look right and send them to a human, essentially.
Right.
That's good stuff there.
Yep. And I thought about this too, like the macro and fundamental. Technical is easy. Like technical analysis for a robot that's what exactly it is. It's technical. It's like curves, charts, swings, moving average, below or above a moving average, whatever, right? But the macro, like what is going on TV, and what are these companies saying about what's going on TV?
Yep.
Right? I think, like, for example, what did Amazon come out today and said, hey, prices are going up because of Trump's tariffs, and we're going to show you, like, here's the original price and here's it with the slapped on tariff.
Right.
Like saying, hey, this ain't me. This ain't us making extra money. This is what's happening around us. And their stock plummeted. Right. So did the robot know that, they were going to come out and do that? No. But how fast would they react to that?
Exactly.
Would they know? Would you really look at that as positive or negative news? Because today, as I see it, the market's not really reacting to that news very much,
right?
To be honest, actually, I think at this time of recording, the market's up, right?
Yep.
It kind of went backwards a little bit, but now it's fine. But I think we're 10 years away from it actually picking anything, because there's a lot to learn. Like you said, like learning that human element that goes into picking a stock. Could it help us make the decision faster? Sure. Right. But I'm asking AI probably specific pointed questions, not like, hey, should I buy this? And be like, well, last 10 years it's been great. Yeah. Yeah. Did you know they're building, Disney's building 5 new theme parks? Like, I don't know, whatever that might be. Does it know that it broke ground? Right. Or it's in the making? No.
Yep.
Right. So
yeah, I think, 10 years does sound about right. We've been bombarded in the last 12 to 18 months with, especially in this industry, with, just AI is the future, right? And then we saw NVIDIA just blow up, and then we saw earnings behind it, which is something you don't usually see.
Yeah.
With new products like that. I'll hit you with another sports analogy since that's all I have. But since we just got through the draft, the term analytics is out there, and I think it's that term has kind of gone away. I think it's just kind of factored into what teams do now. But I would say AI in investing, is just a kind of a tool in the toolbox right now. Whether you're doing it on your own or you're like us and you're managing assets, it's something that can help out. It's something that can help you quickly get data. But as far as being able to replace humans and being something that you can completely and totally rely on, I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah, I were talking before the podcast started, and I know you've fielded this question, and so have I, where like I know that we had a Zoom company wide saying, hey, we Strategic Wealth Partners interested in creating an AI driven ETF where the AI would make the picks, right? So Chris,
was that a timer?
No, because I turned it on this morning. I should reset it.
all right. I'll say like where AI makes the picks. Mm-hmm. It might have been a fast blackout there. I don't know. Where AI made the picks, and let's just say there was 10 months of work that would go into the vetting of this. So like this is why some people might have been on that Zoom, and why we haven't done anything since then is. If there were hypothetically 10 weeks to vet this thing, or 10 months, or whatever it might be, we spent a month or two already digging into it, and we liked enough of what we said. But it's like, before we invest another 8 months, let's just see if there's an appetite for it, right? It was more of like, hey, this is what we want to do. This is the idea behind it, and the whole idea was to remove the human element. Not make like, hey, let the computer make 95% of the choices, and if I don't like one, I'm not going to do it. Then the whole system was compromised.
Right.
That was one of the bugaboos with us, was like, man, we can't tell it no. So if it wants to go straight to cash,
right,
it's going straight to cash. And some people might not like that, timing the market right. kind of thing. But there was also going to have to be a money outlay for the banks to give us the quote unquote okay to go and do this. So we just wanted to see if there was a temperature, like what the client temperature of owning something like this was. And it was high enough where we said, okay, we can start diving in further. We proved to the bank like, hey, we can, clients would like to have this in their portfolio. And when we did that, we started getting into those other eight months of work. And a couple months in, we're like, we did not feel comfortable with how the decisions and the algorithm and the outlay of what the computer was going to spit out. We just felt it wasn't ready. Is it here? Is it on the doorstep? Sure. Right. But not right now. So rather than doing something a little bit more extreme, we just need more time, and that could be years to continue to follow and watch under different circumstances how this program would actually react.
Right.
So not just going to roll it out and say, oh, well, I hope this goes well. Right. So in the conclusion, is it friend or foe? Derek, what do you got, man? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I obviously think it's a foe. I've watched the Terminator movie, at least a dozen times in the last year. It's one of my favorites, so the Skynet overtones are uncomfortable. But, it's I think it's like we said, and it's kind of like Bitcoin, right? When Bitcoin first came out, I probably started getting questions about Bitcoin 7-8 years ago. and 95% of the population said you were nuts to even think about it. Now it's almost 100,000 a coin. So I would think it would be on a similar trajectory, right, where we're kind of in the exploratory phase right now. We certainly wouldn't rule it out as a future potential friend, but I think right now we're still really just kind of learning about it. And I think even when it gets up and running, if you will, kind of like Bitcoin, I still wouldn't, if you're the biggest Bitcoin believer ever, I still probably wouldn't tell you to put more than 10% of your overall net worth into Bitcoin. I would say it would probably be the same with an AI program, especially if you give it, carte blanche to just make trades whenever it wants to. That to me is scary isn't the right term. That is it's just a step that I don't think anyone's ready to make right now.
Yeah, you're putting a lot of faith in something that's quote unquote new.
Right.
Right.
Fairly untested.
Right. The stock market's been open for almost 100 years, right? Or maybe even longer than that. And what the heck, man?
Yep.
Like, and you got this thing that rolled out a year ago, like hit the replacement button on all these humans and get them out of here.
Yep.
I don't know. It just doesn't. It shouldn't correlate with a lot of people because it's just too new and too. Who understands that stuff? Like super smart people, and and AI is just a very unique thing that just needs more time, I believe, to be proven.
Yep.
But friend foe kind of thing. I'm with you, man. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. I like what you said. Like, it's going to help speed up the decision-making process for humans until it can have critical thinking, which could be weeks, months, years from decades from now, till it can actually think like a human. That's where the Terminator stuff starts.
Right.
That's where it turns into a foe. Right. So.
But look how long it took. The Tesla with the self-driving. Look how long they've been testing and using and trying to prove that out, right? And it's probably safer than humans right now at this point. But no one's willing to put it out there in the mainstream, especially regulatory agencies like the states essentially. So I think it has a long ways to go, but I do think we can start taking it seriously for sure, and start learning about it more and using its strong points to help make maybe some trading decisions.
Yeah, I'm more worried about the betting against the AI or again these huge these computer programs start talking to each other and saying, hell, the goal is to make money. Okay, why don't you go short this thing? I'm gonna go long. You short it, and they figure out a way to suck literally all the money into one place.
Yep.
and everyone's broke. Seriously.
Yeah.
I don't know how you undo something like that, because when it's done, you got a bunch of broke people running around. Everyone's broke, dude.
Just ask AI for the money back.
Dude. Yeah, hey,
please give me my money back.
Reverse.
Undo.
Yeah. Civil. Yeah, I'm going to sue the AI robot. Civil suit. Right. So, anyway. All right. Take us home, D.
Yep. So, probably still a long ways to go on AI, but something that's, definitely we're keeping an eye on. A really good subject, so I'm sure we'll talk more about it as we go along. But if you guys have any questions or comments or show ideas, hit us up at info@swpconnect.com, and we'll talk to you next week.